Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about 3%, Season 1, Episode 6. It's called Chapter 6, Glass. Full spoilers for the episode as always. Connor,
Yes.
if you were going to get an individual test in the process,
Oh,
what do you think it would be?
I dread to think. I'm not sure I want to know.
Let's just hope it's not a device that reads for a soul, because then you're then you're out, you're failing
Instant
miserably.
elimination. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so this one brought us back, of course, to the process that we'd kind of left for an episode and looked at Ezekiel's past, and we got all the characters here getting or all of our main characters getting their individual process tests. The way they talked about it, it almost sounded like this was maybe the final test, but I don't think it is. I feel like they'd have made more of a
Yeah, that was kind of the way I got as well. It's like this seems like it should be the final test. Like, oh, your individual
yeah,
one. Like this is you proving your worth as you. But they never mentioned that it was the final test. It's never like,
yeah,
oh, okay, this is it. So it just doesn't seem right, does it?
yeah. Of course, before they even get their individual test, though, they have this other sort of test that they get because they all get their own rooms now. They get their private rooms because they've whittled it down to 9%. So that's few enough that we can have rooms for everyone.
Well, yeah, because they say it's a thousand, right? Like that people that apply.
Did they?
Well, I think Michelle mentions it that she says, "Oh, 1,000 people apply every year."
Yeah, on
So
average, I guess. Yeah,
yeah, so I think 9%.
9%.
You could probably get enough rooms there.
90 people.
Yeah,
Was it? Yeah.
seems. I think so.
Aye, 90 people. Yeah, I'm questioning my math skills. Why am I doing? Why am I even trying to do math? I shouldn't.
Yeah, just don't do that.
But they all get into their own rooms and they have this surprise, like that a family member is there to greet them. Well, at least some of them. If you're like Michelle and you have no family, there's no one, and she's just there on her own. And one of the employees comes in and is like, "Oh, by the way, this is what's going on. You've got half an hour to decide if you're going to take the money and just quit. You know, that's an
Mm,
option." Which was it just me, or did that money look like just a lot of like copper and?
it did, but I'm gonna go and say we don't know what its value is
Oh yeah,
because
we don't. Of course
like
we don't.
that could have been like absolutely loads because they even say the offshore doesn't use money. So like it's whatever value the inland has assigned to it.
I just think it's interesting they chose to use, money that looked like it wasn't worth much. Like to us, I feel like, had it been gold coins maybe or something, it'd be like, oh, that looks like a lot of money. But it didn't.
Mm.
It looked like just lots and lots of couch change.
Which maybe that's kind of the point where we think, is that really that much? But to these absolutely poor, desperate people, this
Yeah.
is life changing.
Oh, of course we say that. Maybe the currency in Brazil just looks like that. Or maybe that's just.
It could well
I
be.
mean, someone can let us know. But
Yeah, we could be just chatting absolute bull here.
yeah, but yeah. So that's the whole thing. The idea of this first test we get in the episode is that they meet a family member and they're like tempted to just go back. Like you can leave now with this money, and you can use that with your family for whatever you want in the poor area. As a sort of a play on your emotional side, like while you go back, because Fernando actually wants to. He's like, yeah, I'll come back with you, Dad. That money could help us. It could help you build a
Yeah,
new house or whatever. And his
you wouldn't
dad's
have to
like,
preach every day.
yeah, and he's like, no, no, you're doing this to the point where he even makes the choice for him and says, if you quit and come back, you're not living with me. You don't have a home anymore.
Yeah.
So, so they were all kind of hard hitting in that sense. Joanna, of course, had a very probably the most tense of the group, where it appeared to be someone who pretended to be her father from the gang or the warlord looking for the bounty to take her back. And this was interesting because the entire time it was going on and he was like giving her this choice, do we walk out now? I was like, how does she get out of this? Like how
Mm.
like she would have to admit what she's done to the employees or whatever to like, get help from them.
Yeah.
It wouldn't quite work, but the twist of course is that they already know. That the whole point of this test is to make sure she wants to actually go to the offshore and not just to get away from her troubles.
Mm.
So,
It's clever. It really works, and I didn't exactly see the twist coming either. Like even when you're
not that.
questioning, it's like, how does this work? You don't actually think that for some reason, even though it is quite obvious in hindsight.
It kind of is, but I think the actor playing the guy who's like talking to her and like threatening her is doing such a good job that when the moment he stops and says "you passed," I'm like, wait, what? You know, it didn't click right away. I'm like, oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Because he was doing such a good job of selling the I guess scumbag. You know, it didn't occur to me. So Michelle doesn't get anyone because she doesn't have anyone. We don't really get any flashbacks in this one. She has a dream of her brother at one point, and there's a couple of quick glimpses of it, but it kind of shies away from it, which I actually appreciated because I feel like some shows, and we've talked about some recently, where they have this like format with those flashbacks that they feel locked in that they have to do it. Whereas here it was like, no, like there's no room for them this episode.
The thing is, what's interesting to me is obviously it was a dream, but was it actually a flashback? Is that how it happened, or is this just a warped perception of it through a dream?
I think it's a warped perception. The way she turns around as a kid and he's already gone, like I feel like that's, you know, not how it really happened. Like, it would have said goodbye. It wasn't like he didn't Batman away out of the scene in real life.
Man, if only.
Yeah, and why would he Batman away? That wouldn't even make sense.
Just because you can. Let's be honest. If you could Batman away, you'd do it a lot, wouldn't you?
Possibly. And of course the other one is Raphael, whose mother comes to see him, and obviously knows that it's not actually Raphael, it's Tiago, I think his real name is.
Tiago, yeah.
And she's threatening to like tell on him, to like turn him in, because she wants the money. So like, you come right now with the money. Obviously she doesn't know that he's part of the cause. She doesn't know that he's got this ulterior motive. She just thinks he's being selfish and awful.
And she's clearly very pregnant and has a lot more kids that she wants to try and help.
Yeah, which, by the way, why are you having so many kids?
Do you know what? I was thinking that, but not just in this episode. There's the thing where every time someone fails and gets eliminated, and you know they're lashing out, and the advice is, having children is one of the most common ways to get over it.
It's funny actually. We had a comment about this.
Oh, did we?
Today, yeah. This seems like the wrong advice. Like, surely the advice would be, don't have more kids to lower the population. Like, that would help with all of this.
You'd think, but I think from their perspective, they're going, oh, more kids. That means there's more chances of getting someone good.
I guess. I don't know. But even, forget for the offshore perspective, just the perspective of the people in the inland, why would they want lots of kids? Like, I don't... Why would you want to bring a kid into this world?
Because they're selfish bastards, clearly.
Like, I get unwanted pregnancy, like, you know, accidental, but, like, the idea that you intentionally have more kids out there is weird. Like, stop it. You're just making your own life more difficult. The kid's life's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I'm with you.
I just think that's an odd... So, yeah, so Raphael's mother, stop it. Just,
yeah.
You know... You've got enough kids. I mean, this kid, you've had at least, 2 kids now that are 20, 21, and you're still get pregnant with more kids.
And we see the picture, don't we? And like it looks like there was like maybe 5 or 6 of them.
A vagina is not a clown car. Stop it.
Some clearly are.
Oh, dear. But he sort of double bluffs her and says, you know... I'll say that you were in on it so that he can stay. Raphael's story is actually perhaps one of the more interesting ones in this episode because his final test is that he has to get help from someone else because the whole idea is that he's pissed off so many people that this is going to be difficult for him. And what he does to actually get the help is he actually reveals Michelle's secret to Fernando.
Do you know what I think is so interesting about this? Like, Fernando is almost becoming disillusioned with the process. Like, he wants to leave. He is no longer interested. He is almost kind of getting to the point where he's almost aligned with the cause. It's not quite there, but he's kind of edging in that direction. Yeah,
it's like he's kind of stopped caring about it, but he's not necessarily at the point where he wants to fight it. He just wants to be out of it. He wants to be gone.
Right.
Yeah.
But this way, I'm just going to dip into Michelle's stuff just a touch.
Yeah.
When she's telling her story and, you know, the sob story about how all she could think about was the process, it's almost like she actually believes that. I'm not entirely sure she is as fully committed to the cause as we're led to believe. Like, maybe she is actually kind of becoming, like, into this process that maybe she is just worthy of it.
Oh, I
And it
think
would be an interesting switch between her and Fernando if they're like then convincing each other of the opposites.
I didn't quite get that from her sob story.
No, I just think it would be interesting.
When she was talking about the process and she was saying that's all she was thinking about, I was actually taking that to mean she was thinking about her revenge, thinking about her,
Yeah.
and she was just flipping it so that it would work in the context of the test that she was being given.
I get that. I just think it would be maybe more interesting if if one's becoming into it and one's getting disillusioned with it.
But of course, Fernando's like head over heels falling for her now because he's like, I don't care where we go, I just want to be on the same side as you. And they have sex and so that they connect on a sort of level, higher than they have done previously. So when Raphael tells Honor basically and says, no, she's part of the cause, we're both together and in this kind of thing, and Fernando's like hurt face like works, it's much more effective than it would have been like last episode.
Definitely.
Yeah, but it neatly bookends the episode because the episode opens after the sort of the nightmare dream flashback scene. The episode opens with Michelle going to Raphael and saying, "Look, we're not even supposed to know about each other. We need to we'll just forget this happened." Like she's trying to as far as we're concerned going forward, we don't know this about each other. We're not going to mention it. We're not going to talk about it. There's no connection. She tries to cut it off completely. And before the episode even ends, Raphael uses it as a
bargaining chip.
A bargaining chip, yeah. He uses it to his own gains. So no, I like that development because it shows how devoted he is. But at the same time, he even brings up when he's talking to Fernando that everything he's done, every sort of bullshit move he's made, every cheating movie he made, every time he's tried to. Because I love that when he's trying to convince him to help. Fernando's like, you cheated and then you tried to get me eliminated. Why would I help you? He's just listing all the awful things. Then you joined the gang who started killing people. What? what more do I need to not help you?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he plays on his love for Michelle, and that's why Fernando, seemingly, that's why he at least helps.
Yeah, but he's clearly not very happy about it at all.
Yeah.
And it's, I obviously part of it's just that he's not happy about helping him. But you can tell so much of it is just he's not happy that he had to find out about this about Michelle this way and that she didn't tell him and that it's a thing at all.
Yeah. Obviously, the conflict that's going to arise from this next episode or whenever it comes up again is going to be, a big deal. But as I was saying though with Raphael, he even says everything he's done for the greater good. Sure, I might screw over a few people on the way, but the whole idea is that eventually he helps everyone.
Yeah.
So you have that duality to his character.
He has become such a layered character where he's gone from this absolute scumbag to clearly doing his best to do what he thinks is right.
Yeah, because at the start of the show, he legitimately just feels like a dickhead.
Yeah, I think we referred to him as such quite a lot in those first couple of interviews.
Yeah, he's just a dick. But no, he's a lot more grounded. So yeah, Michelle's test, of course, is she's told that she has to go into a room with parents from the inland and convince them in 30 minutes that their child, who is quite young at this moment,
10, I believe.
Yeah, point, needs to sign up for the process and register for it for when she turns 20. But when she walks in, it's the parents of a friend that she got killed in episode 1. And the head of security is talking into her ear the whole time. She's got an earpiece on. It's like, you have to tell them about her daughter's death, and you have to also still convince. Because see when she first said, "Oh, you have to tell them about the daughter's death," I almost thought the rest of what she said before went out the window. But no, you still need to convince them to sign up the new daughter.
No, it's both.
Yeah,
it's way harder.
Yeah, way more difficult, to the point where I'm like, how are they even going to, even as a viewer, how is this going to be convincing to me that you make them do a 180? I was expecting to be at the end of it go, nah, I don't buy that they turned around and said yes.
Which is a credit to it that, I believe it.
Yeah. I mean, I think her pulling on her own history and her brother's, death and her own, turnaround, even though it's not quite the turnaround that the process is believing so far, at least as far as we know. I mean, if they knew what Joanna was actually up to, who's to say they don't know she had a brother and that he was here?
That's true. Especially as, she told like the similar story in the first stage, but said it was a boyfriend, right?
Yeah, like that has to be a flag for someone. Someone must be noticing this.
You'd think.
You'd
You'd
think.
think.
We'll see. Maybe it'll pop up.
Hmm.
Maybe it'll pop up. But like you even speculate that maybe Ezekiel's working for the cause. Who's to say that at the end of this process, when she walks into a room, Ezekiel's standing there and says, "I know about your brother, and I'm here to help you fight for his memory or whatever."
Yeah,
You know, like
I literally don't know.
I could almost see that being like the final scene of the season, just like this giant cliffhanger for season 2. You know, I could almost see it being that, but no. But no, wonderfully acted scene. She's like crying throughout as she's trying to like convince them, and over the earpiece again. If because at one point they get up to leave, it's like if they leave, you're eliminated.
Yeah.
You're done. So incredibly tense. We've talked about tension a lot throughout this season, and this was again more of that.
Yeah.
Joanna gets a clear just from the fake dad, test. She got clear just from that point on, and she will she actually decides to no longer help Raphael because for her point of view, they already know what she did, and she's passed anyway.
So yeah, he has nothing on her anymore.
Yeah. Well, she says that if you tell me why you have the fake registration, and if I believe it's worth forgiving, I'll do it. But he's not willing to tell her.
Yeah, not yet, at least.
Not yet. Who knows? But it almost feels like, actually, to your previous point, what if Michelle's converted the other way? It feels like that's more like what Joanna's character is, where she didn't really care about it coming in, but now she is she's like a devout, like I am part of the process,
It's interesting watching these characters change their opinions on things.
It is, and a lot of them have done.
Yeah.
Arguably, Michelle's not done it yet, but maybe she will. Maybe we'll see. Maybe the whole point is that everyone but her will change.
Yeah, it could well be.
I don't know.
Like she's so caught up in her revenge that she doesn't consider anything else like the others do.
So lastly, the final person who we've not talked about yet, test-wise, is Fernando, who is actually probably the simplest. He's given like a sort of design a new test for the process, and he takes the family member coming and he flips it around so that it's not money based, and that's basically any passes. He actually kind of has the most straightforward one in that he doesn't have that much of a challenge.
I liked though that she questioned him on the fact that she told him to create a new test and he just adapted one instead. But and he was saying no, change is gradual. I like that because it almost feels like, again, it mirrors this stuff we're seeing with the cause where they're trying to do such rapid change. They want this instantaneous rebellion almost.
Maybe that'll be something that he sort of passes on to Michelle, and she'll realise that it can't be a quick sudden fix. It has to be a gradual from within.
Yeah, that's what I was just getting to. Yeah, I think that's where that might lead to.
Yeah, that's a good observation. But no, I think all these individual tests were engrossing in their own ways. Raphael running to see if the lights had lit up, the faces on the wall. That was a good moment because he looked genuinely terrified that they may not be.
And yeah, his relief and just like ecstatic celebration when they were done.
Yeah, I guess the only little tidbit we should mention from this episode is that Ezekiel. He tells his head of security that he's been blackmailed, whose name I should know, but I don't yet. So I shall continue saying head of security. And she's like, "Look, I want to help you. I'm on your side, but we're going to have to. I need to know what she's got on you." And he doesn't tell her. He's not willing to, as of yet. And he goes to Julia's son and says goodbye, which I think worked really well because this is the second time we've seen him in that location at his house. And the first time it was the kid saying, "Go away, I don't want you here." But then this time it was, "I don't want to be on my own,"
Yeah, it was like a first and last visit, basically.
Yeah, it was a nice symmetry, if you will.
Yeah.
But the other scene, of course, with Ezekiel that's really worth mentioning is when he goes to the meeting to decide the other individual tests, and Eleni takes over and starts throwing out suggestions, sort of undermining him the entire time. Which is kind of crappy of her because she did, you finish this year and then I'll take over.
It's a power play, isn't it? Because you can see him going, should I question it? It's not worth it. Yeah. And you can just see everyone else around the table going, okay then, this is awkward.
That's what I really liked about the scene is that everyone else in the room sold how like uncomfortable the whole thing was.
Yeah.
So really good in that sense. So no, solid episode. I think it probably doesn't live up to the last two because the last two were just so good.
Yeah.
Like I think 4 and 5 have been the highlights of the show so far, but no, that this had everything else going for it as well. Yeah. And just something as simple as Joanna getting out to the garden area and like just lying in the grass and looking up at the sky.
Yeah, and again, just this episode was another testament to why just get these characters in a room and talk, and it is the best thing this show can do.
Yeah, and also it's to their credit that a lot of it is them all split up, but talking to new people, talking to different people.
Yeah,
and that was also working very well. So
the dialogue in general has just been fantastic throughout the whole show.
Yeah, which is funny because we can't actually understand what they're saying. We're relying on subtitles.
Well, I think that just goes to its credit of, it translates that well. Like, it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's episode 6 of 3%. We will be back with episode 7 later tonight. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. It helps us out a lot. Get us on Twitter at @mild_fuzz. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.